ready to start? Yes? Okay, hello everyone. My name is Mariel. I'm Ghana's Executive Director. It's a pleasure to welcome you to a new edition of the Argentina Bilingual Job Fair. As binational centers and American spaces, it's a real privilege to us to be able to set up this space to connect local talent, such as yourselves, with global opportunities. We want to especially thank the U.S. Embassy in Argentina for making this possible and always partnering with us in fulfilling this mission. And I want to send special greetings to our friends joining through the network of binational centers in Argentina. So hello to everyone in Comodoro Rivadavia, Mendoza, Rosario, Santa Fe, Santiago del Estero, and Tucumán. Thanks for being here with us. So it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our next speaker, sitting with us over here, Roonie Hausheer, someone who has dedicated her career to understanding human dynamics and public service, and who is now helping professionals master one of the most critical skills in any organization, which is how we connect with one another. Roonie holds an MBA from Union College in New York and brings an incredible background of over 20 years of experience working in the New York State government. Today, she's internationally certified as a trainer in nonviolent communication, bringing her global expertise to Argentina, where she leads transformative training programs. So get ready today to transform the way you interact and collaborate. So please give a warm welcome to Roonie.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Am I good? Okay. I'm excited to be here. When I first started teaching nonviolent communication, it was before the pandemic. And then with the pandemic, I went virtual. And now I have students throughout the Spanish-speaking world who take my classes, but all my classes are online now. And I'll tell you about them a little bit later. I want to talk about the importance of communication, no matter where you're working, probably even on some remote outpost in the south of Argentina, where there aren't so many people, more penguins than people. But communication is essential. And the way that we communicate today, I mean, I'm an old person, I'm 77. So my way of communicating was always, it was by writing things down or by having conversations. And you guys have real shortcuts. Some of those shortcuts, though, cut out information that is needed. And some of the information that is needed has to do with what we transmit from person to person about ourselves, something that conveys who we are, what we value. So I just wanted to talk to you about these things, which I can't see. So what does it say? How to listen. How do we listen? Well, Stephen Covey said that we listen making up answers in our head, that while we're listening to somebody talk to us, we're already thinking about how we're going to respond. So I would suggest that it's important to slow down and take the time to connect with the person you're talking to, whether it's on the phone or whether it's face-to-face, to take the time to really listen to what this person is saying, because there will be elements of what that person is saying that are going to be important to you, that are going to give you important information about her, about how you feel. Is this, especially, I mean, I see this as a job fair. You're going to be looking for jobs. You're going to be feeling people out as you go to places and talk to them. Is this a good place for me? How do I know that? I don't know how long interviews last these days, but you get a short period of time. So how do we listen? So I'm going to ask you to do an exercise. I'm going to ask you to pair up and take 3 minutes, and one person is going to tell the other person about something that happened. Okay, please don't make it about something tragic, because we're not doing therapy here. So, but something that might be interesting, or something that you learned, something you saw in heard in a podcast or saw on the television. You're just going to take 3 minutes and you're going to tell the other person something. And the other person is then going to say, thank you, and then say, what I heard is, you don't have to repeat it, you're not going to catch all the details, but what I heard you say is this. And then you're going to switch 3 minutes for one, and then and the person who reflects back is going to use less than 3 minutes probably. And then the second person is going to do the same thing. And then you're going to spend 2 minutes talking about how was that? How was that for someone to listen to me? How did it feel when that person told me back what I said? Okay? So are we even numbered? Let's see how we are here. Can everybody find a partner? Nobody needs a microphone. No, you're just going to work. You're just going to work two people. Do you have a partner? Okay. Do you have a partner? You two. And there, how about, okay, go sit together.
Should I start? Okay. Should we measure time or?
Okay, and you can start. Do you have a okay? Are you partners here?
Yeah, I think we're 13.
I'm sorry?
I think we're 13 people.
I didn't hear.
I think we're an odd number of people.
We're an odd number of people. Can you jump in and help? Yeah? Okay, we're not anymore.
Should we measure time?
I'm going to tell you.
Or we can do it ourselves.
Okay. So take 3 minutes.
3 minutes each.
Take 3 minutes, and then the other person reflects. Take 3 minutes, and then we have 2 reflections.
6 minutes. Siya. 6 minutes already.
Let's line up the first pair. And switch. So the second person, is the second person now telling their story?
Yes.
If the second person hasn't started, now the second person starts to tell their story to the first person. Okay? Thank you. Is the first person reflecting back to the second person now?
Yes.
Okay. And wrapping that up and finishing that part of what we're doing?
Okay.
Yeah.
We too.
If you have just like 1 minute left to finish this exercise, and then I want to ask you about it. Okay? Okay, so if I can have your attention. And I have a question. My question is, when you were the person who was speaking, how were you feeling? And good isn't a feeling, and bad isn't a feeling. So how are you feeling? You can be feeling happy, you can be feeling comfortable, you can be feeling uncomfortable, you can be feeling something that you feel in your body. What were you feeling when you were sharing whatever it was that you were sharing? I don't want to hear the content of the conversation, but just the feelings.
I felt happy. I wanted to share
Okay.
what happened to me today. Maybe if I don't know the other person that this is the case, maybe I feel a little bit uncomfortable at the beginning, but then I felt really happy because I wanted to share it. That was my experience today.
Okay, great. Anybody else? Yeah?
Like she said, when she told me what she feels, I was feeling excited because I feeling something that what happened to me in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like nostalgic.
And how did it feel when you were when you had already spoken and somebody's telling you what they heard you say? How was that for you? Or did you engage in a conversation? Did you interact or did you reflect what you heard? Okay. How is it when you're hearing somebody tell you back what I heard you say was blah, blah, blah?
It's great because many people, as you mentioned before, are preparing an answer. So being conscious of listening to repeat what the other person said, it feels great.
We're talking about being present with another person. Imagine going into an interview and being present with the person who wants to know you. Now, something that's really important in communication is being clear. Very often we're vague in the things that we say, so we want to bring clarity into the conversation. What do I want? If we're talking about a job interview, what do I want? What do I want to know? Let's say I get 20 minutes with this person who's interviewing me. You're going to be doing as much interviewing of the interviewer as the interviewer does with you. The interviewer wants to know, is this person going to fit into the company or the school or whatever it is? But you want to know, am I going to like it here? It's a terrible thing. Well, maybe not tragic, but it's not wonderful to have a job you don't love. It is amazing to have a job that you love, that you feel sad when you're on vacation sometimes because this job is so wonderful to you. And I know because I have that job. So you want to find a place where you're going to be doing what you like, where it's going to be, well, what do you value? What do you want in a job? Can you be clear about something characteristic of values that you want in a job? Yeah.
Can I ask a question? I don't know if
Yeah.
it's the moment to do so, but I believe that there are some subjects that are very difficult to talk about, such as salary.
Right.
How can we talk about those certain subjects? We have to be polite, but it's also very hard to be clear when you have to talk about money.
Okay. Well, the interviewer knows you want to know about what they're going to pay. So I wouldn't start off with salary. That might be a bad lead, not a great lead. But as you move toward the end of the conversation that you're having, you're certainly going to ask, well, what kind of salary goes with this job that you want to fill?
But if they don't ask you,
I'm sorry?
but what happens if they don't ask you? Like, you can sense that the interview is coming to an end, and yet they haven't asked you that.
Well, if I don't know if they do always. I mean, I've never been an interviewer hiring anybody. I don't know, but you might just, one of the characteristics, one of the needs that I have in any conversation is honesty. And sometimes honesty can feel scary, but if you don't ask what you need to know, you leave feeling that there's a really important something that I didn't get. For example, if you want to work in a team and you don't ask about teams, then you walk out and you don't know where you are. You don't know if you want that job or not. The same thing with salary. If you know that you want to make a certain amount to live, it's important to ask. So it would be good if this was a dialogue where the person asked you something and you then asked back different things. But as you sense you're coming to the end, if it hasn't been mentioned, well, we haven't talked yet about the salary, and I'm wondering what you're thinking about offering for this job. For me, honesty is always the best thing. The best communication is clear. The best communication is where I'm telling you who I am, I'm telling you what I want, you're telling me what you want, and I don't know if you go in with a certain salary that you want this or you won't take the job. I don't know. It seems you have a tough job market.
We do.
But to ask a general question, what are you offering? Is a reasonable question. They know that you will be interviewing somewhere else also, and you want to be able to compare things. It may be that the salary isn't the most important thing, but it's important if you want to if you want to support yourself. It's important. I think it should come up I shouldn't be giving you advice about interviewing, but about honesty, I can tell you that honesty works better than hedging, then, kind of working around questions instead of asking. Asking about the work environment. What kind of a work environment? What is it like? I mean, can you meet with people who are doing this job and talk to them? I mean, don't limit yourself. Think about what you really want in a job and then ask the questions that are going to get you the answers. What kind of a relationship do people have with their bosses, the hierarchy? Now, I don't know if that's a typical kind of question, but in a situation that's highly hierarchical, there are a lot more rules than in a flat organization, where there's a lot of connection sideways. There's a lot more sharing of responsibility, a lot more dialogue, discussion, open. They'll accept new suggestions from new staff. So it's important to be able to, ask what you need to ask.
Thank you.
Are there more questions?
I have another one, but I can share. Okay. Maybe somebody else can.
Okay, does somebody else have a question?
I can wait.
Okay.
I have one question, Roonie.
Okay.
Do you think there is some difference between women and men about the good listening and to be clear in the communication or not?
Okay, I didn't. Can you adjust that microphone?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. The difference between women and men, and I didn't hear what.
In communication.
What now? I think women and men are treated very differently.
I think she meant in communication, like you meant in communication, right?
No.
If they communicate differently.
If you think if there is some difference between men and women about the good listening and to be clear in the communication, if there is some difference.
I don't think that men and women communicate the same way. I think that women are more expressive in terms of emotions. And sometimes that might work to the advantage of men and sometimes not. Because the more you can show of yourself, the more the person who's interviewing can decide if that's what he or she wants. The more closed I am, men tend to be more closed than women. They are brought up to not show their feelings. And so they will probably be much more kind of matter of fact, rather than talking about their dream job. I think that it can work to your advantage. Certainly, breaking down and crying is not going to help you if you were thinking about doing that. But I mean, a lot of emotional. Especially if you're talking to a man and you're a woman, then you don't want to be overly emotional. I mean, they're employing you for a job, not as a friend. So, but for me, the last job I interviewed for, there were 350 applicants, and I got the job. And there were men and women, and for me, just being honest, just being true, If they ask you, what would you do? You can say, I don't know. There's no problem in saying, I haven't thought about that. I'm not sure what I would do. I might want to think about it a while before I told you what I would do. Or I might want to check with other people It's okay to say, I don't know. Being able to say, I don't know, tells somebody that you're honest. You know, you don't just say any old thing to have a good answer, because you don't know what they're looking for either. So what's honest, that's what I recommend. Yeah, you had another question.
Yes. Are there any particularities when it comes to communication with somebody that's from a different country?
Are you talking about same language, different country?
Yes. For instance now that
we're sharing a conversation in English, but we have different nationalities,
Yes.
different background. I mean, I am from Latin America, and maybe I'm more emotional than you, I guess. But would you say that there are particularities, or that communication is something that's like universal, and that we can communicate same way with anyone?
No, I think there are differences. For example, distance. Certain nationalities, people from North America are going to maintain larger distance between bodies than, I mean, you guys, I love it. You guys kiss each other and you hug each other. It's wonderful. I mean, I like it. But yeah, you want to be conscious of cultural differences, but no one's going to expect you to know the cultures, to know somebody else's culture. I mean, you learn as you go. I've been here 20 years. So, yeah, I think that someone who's doing the interviewing also is going to take that into account, you know, that you're from another, the culture is different. Just like the food is different, the culture is different, and yeah, I would I would be careful about stepping too close. On the other hand, if someone leans in towards you and you're comfortable with that, you can lean in toward them, you know. So respecting differences, showing curiosity also. Okay, I want to go on to just mention empathy. Empathy, we all have feelings. All of us have feelings. And we don't show our feelings. We generally, in a work environment, we're not going to show our feelings a whole lot. We can express our opinions, but we're not going to do a lot with our feelings in most work environments. Maybe not with social workers, for example, or even in teaching. But in a business where you're working with concepts and numbers, and it's pretty dry stuff. So your feelings don't get too involved there, but we have them anyway. If 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 I go through a bad time, my dog, who was 14 years old, died a month ago, and I was devastated, and that's not something that I can hide. That's not something. So and I told the people around me, I don't want to talk about it. I just need silence, and I don't want to talk about it. And people just wanted to really care for me, and I recognized that, and I needed silence. Recognizing that we don't know where anybody is at any point in time, that people can be having a really bad day, people can be having a lot of pain, problems in the family, and they might be reactive, and it might have nothing to do with me. So empathy is recognizing that somebody's going through something, you don't need to know what it is, but having that sensitivity to either give them space if they ask for it, or to ask if they need anything, or, I mean, not to close your heart because you're in the work environment. I think the work environment, we spend enough time there that we want to feel that we belong there, and we want to make connections with people, even if they're not close connections. We want to have that camaraderie and also a sensitivity. I could talk a lot more about empathy, but not so much in the workplace. My last topic is asking for what you want. And I want to say women are not very good at asking for what they want. Women have been taught to shut up and take care of other people. I mean, that's what the culture says. And so we need to learn to say no. Now, it's hard to say no in the work environment. It's hard to say no in the family, too. I wouldn't start in the work environment, but we need to be able to know what our boundaries are, what our limits are, and say, this is not okay with me. I will not be here for this. I will, and how do we do that? Clearly, what is it I will not be there for? So if I want to ask someone for some help, I want to ask somebody for some help, I want to be very clear about what I'm asking for before I open my mouth to ask for it. I want to take the time to think about what is it that I want, and what are the words that show that it's clear. Like I have this stack of papers that I have to get through, and I have a kid that's homesick, and I want to ask for permission to go home early. And I want to know if my colleague, the person I work with, can take on some of this today. Now, number one, if I can't accept a no from the person, it's not a request. Then I'm really, because if I get mad if the person says no, it's really a demand. When we make demands on people, they get resentful and angry. We don't want to do that. But it may be that I have a close working relationship with somebody, and I say, you know, I just heard from the school, I have to go home, I have this stuff. Could you go through half of it for me? Could you go through a third of it for me? Or would you be willing to do that? But say clearly what it is you are wanting that person to do, and in what time. I mean, do I expect you to do it before you leave tonight? Or can you do it tomorrow? But I know that there's going to be more on my desk tomorrow. So I want to be clear in my expectation of the other person, and I absolutely want to be able to practice hearing a no and seeing if I'm okay with it. Because if I'm not okay, I don't want to ask. The same thing for my partner at home, the same thing from my best friend. Sometimes a person has a reason for saying no. They have their own needs that need to be met. She has her own stack of papers, or she has her own responsibilities. So is my time up? 5 minutes, okay. And I wasn't looking over there. Okay, so this idea that I can say no, I wouldn't say no to my boss. I would try to find a way to negotiate something. I mean, I don't want to create conflict with my boss, but in life, it's important as a woman to have power in your own life, to be able to say no and to be able to ask for help. I mean, I see it all the time, women who just cannot say no. And there can be very serious negative health benefits to not saying no when you need to. So I want to put that in there as a thought. Can you give me the second slide? So I want to invite everyone. I teach nonviolent communication. It's an 8-week course, 16 hours. I teach it for free. You don't have to pay for it. The next class is starting in August. It's always on a Monday, and there are 2 times, and you can pick the time that you want to take it. There are usually between 40 and 60 people in each class, and they are taught in Spanish, and all of the participants are from either Spain or Latin America. You would be most welcome to come in. You will learn a lot more. I've just touched on topics here, but I would start teaching nonviolent communication in kindergarten to teach children how to express their feelings, how to get what they want, I need attention. Children don't say, I need attention. They throw tantrums. And very often, those tantrums are met with rejection. Starting with children and teaching them that they're important and that they have power, teaching parents, and I do this, that their children are important and that it's essential to listen to them and to understand them and to support them as they grow, even if they're expressing defiance. This is authenticity that we don't want to suppress. We want to encourage children to think for themselves. We don't want to teach little girls to say yes all the time. That creates a burden. I'm going to cede the room to somebody else. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. I wish I had had twice the amount of time, but I invite you. You can invite your parents, your uncles, your cousins, anyone who might be interested in learning a way to communicate in win-win situations, non-competitive win-win situations, how to listen, how to express, how to be honest when it's scary to be honest. Thank you.
Thank you.